Good evening, guys. It is Thursday. Most churches celebrate what we call Maundy Thursday. I grew up in a church where this was the night that we did foot washing and communion. This is the night when Jesus probably would have been having the Passover or the Seder dinner, which was very long. So I want to read the scripture to you, then we're going to reflect a little bit, and then we'll see you on Good Friday, which is tomorrow. This is in John 13, and I believe we are going to read up until 18, so bear with me. It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own, whom were in the world, he loved them to the end. The evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal and took off his outer clothing and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet. We'll talk about that in a minute. Drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. Jesus came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, you are not going to wash my feet." And Jesus replied, "You do not realize what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "you shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash your feet, you have no part with me." Then Lord, Simon Peter replied, "Not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean, and yet you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him, and that is why he said not everyone was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. "You do not understand what I have done for you," he asked them. You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash each other's feet. I have set you this example that you should do as I have done. Very truly, I tell you, a servant is no greater than his master. That is what we are talking about. Hang on, let me get rid of this cold. Joel, I'll call you right back. So here's the question. The servant in the house of most households that washed the feet was the nastiest, dirtiest job because they wore sandals. The roads were dusty. Their feet were crusty. They are crusty. Just say that. And it was normally the lowest servant in the house that washed the feet. Now, Jesus gave us the example that we should be considered a servant of all. If you want to be great in God's kingdom, he says earlier or later, and Paul writes, if you want to be great in God's kingdom, you've got to be the servant of all. But so many of us want to put other people down and put other people below us, and we don't want to be a servant. Got to be a servant, people. Serve each other. The greatest thing that happened to me, I was a young man when I could wash feet in my home church. And my pastor at that time, O.L. Johnson, was a big man. He wasn't heavy. He was just like 6'6" with arms and hands that were like man hands, bear claws. So I can remember him coming and washing my feet, the first one that did. And it was such an emotional thing that he would bow down before me and wash my feet. And then I washed his feet back, and it just is a really beautiful. If you've been in my youth groups, you've been through foot washing, even the people that didn't like them, didn't like that aspect, realized what a great honor it is to wash somebody's feet. Jesus is teaching us humility here. He's teaching us humility. You know, my mighty men, my guys in my program, if you know me and I've seen you in person, that's one of the things I've probably tried to do for you is wash your feet. Simply because we're in this together. We're in it together, and right now we're coming into a very sacred time. Jesus, after this act and went in the Garden of Gethsemane, which we read about, was taken and the beatings began. And they were brutal. They were awful and ugly. I've asked each and every one of you, especially my mighty men, to watch the Passion of the Christ. For this reason, so you can remember what God did for you, what Christ did for you. And they say that that's probably the most accurate representation of what happened to Christ that day. It's important for us to be humbled and remember who we are, where we are, and what we are. Remember who you are. You're a child of God. You're a priceless, precious thing. I don't care how bad you've been. He loves you, and he wants a relationship with you. He also wants you to submit and surrender. He's got to be number one. I hope you have a great night. Good Friday is tomorrow. God bless you all, and Easter's on its way. Christ is coming. God bless.